Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, y'all. What's up? Man, I'll tell you what, YouTube needs to really up its streaming game because like there's no way for me to preview how this looks. First of all, can you guys hear me? There's no way to do a sound check on this thing. It's kind of wild. Actually, kind of wild. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Can everyone hear me? Hello, hello, hello. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And so, what I'd love for you to do is go ahead and drop any questions that you have about singing in the chat. I want to do my best to answer all of those. No topic is off limits as long as it's related to singing, obviously, and maybe some topics not related to singing. We'll see. But, in the meantime, today, one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about was vocal range. So, I think a lot of people think that vocal range and voice type are exactly the same, or at least they think that voice type is determined completely by your vocal range. So, for example, like if you can sing from a C3 up to a C5, then that automatically makes you a tenor. And by the way, there's 6 major voice types, right? So you've got bass, baritone, tenor, alto, mezzo, and soprano are the biggest ones that you have. And there's lots and lots of ways to kind of chop that up from there. Lots and lots of different ways to actually, divide the different voice types. And go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, guys. I'd love to be able to answer any of your questions that you have, and I'll try to answer them in order if I can. So I was just saying, like, a lot of people think that vocal range is kind of like the biggest predictor of voice type. So if you can sing from the C3 up to a C5, oh, then that definitely means that you're a tenor. Well, there are actually baritones and maybe even some basses who can sing up to that C5, right? So just vocal range alone does not dictate your voice type. There are a lot of other factors. The biggest one that I look at is vocal weight, meaning how heavy or how light the voice is. So, for example, go ahead and thank you, Jordy. Said I look fantastic going to the gym or on a diet. I appreciate you for saying that. I've been running every day, so that is helpful, and I've actually been doing that because I had this shoulder injury. Don't ask me why, but for some reason, running helps with my shoulder. I don't understand it at all. No doctor has been able to diagnose it or been able to help. So yeah, I've got no idea why. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I've been feeling kind of fat recently, to be honest. Not necessarily too feeling too ashamed about that, just feeling kind of fat. You know what I mean? So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Now, vocal weight is the biggest thing that I was looking at, right? And so, for example, how heavy or how light the voice is. So let's just do a quick quiz, real quick. Bruno Mars, the singer Bruno Mars, right? Is that a light and is that a lighter voice or is that a heavier voice? And just answer instinctively. There's no right or wrong answers here. I want to just know what you're feeling. Okay, Bruno Mars, lighter voice or a heavier voice? For example, like, is Bruno Mars a lighter singer or a heavier singer than Johnny Cash? I want to see your answers in the chat. We got 22 people in the chat. I want to see 22 answers. Go ahead and write it down. What do you got? Let's see. Give you guys a minute to answer. Okay, Precious Tomato says a lighter voice type, that Bruno Mars is a lighter voice type than Johnny Cash. True or false? Let's see. Rosie Daisy says lighter. Yes, you guys are right. So Bruno Mars being a lighter voice type. Carolyn also has it. A lighter voice type than someone like Johnny Cash, right? Mario, Frank, you guys all got it too. Whereas someone like Johnny Cash is this, hey, baby, has this really, really low, but also heavy voice, meaning that he could sing, ideally, maybe they could even sing some of the same notes, but the way that those notes would sound would be totally different. So I just wanted to clear that up because my girlfriend still thinks that she's an alto, even though she's definitely some sort of soprano, probably a higher mezzo soprano, but she doesn't believe me, but that's okay. She's a fantastic singer. I'm actually going to have her on next Saturday. So if you guys want to see me work with a very, very talented female singer, definitely tune in next week. So Erwin says, could you recommend me some books about singing, please? I want to become a teacher like you someday, and I want to understand the anatomy of the voice. Yeah, there's a pretty basic one, Erwin, that you can check out, which I think has a really stupid title, to be honest. It's called Your Body, Your Voice. Kind of reminds me of like those old puberty books, like Our Bodies, Ourselves, like telling you about like what to expect during puberty. But Your Body, Your Voice is a pretty standard beginner textbook when it comes to vocal anatomy. Now, I do want to say that vocal anatomy is important for a singer to understand, for a teacher to understand, excuse me. But the most important thing is being able to help people sing better, right? So I would say that it's tough to find a book that's going to teach you how to actually work with voices better. You know, some of them are going to cover breath control and anatomy and scales and stuff like that. But if you really want to actually help people improve and become better singers, I'd recommend one of the organizations like Speech Level Singing doesn't really exist anymore, but IVA is a good one. I've also heard some good things about CVT, although I'm not a CVT teacher for sake. Now, just a quick note, guys, we have just opened up enrollment again for 30-day Song Master. It's this incredible course. I'm just going to tell you guys about it real quick because I think it's super cool. And then I'm going to get right back to answering people's questions because it is so stinking cool. So check this out. So we all know that the most important thing about singing is not just to do vocal exercises, it's to actually master singing songs. So with 30-day Song Master, when you enroll, how does it actually work? So every month, I'm going to assign a new song for everyone in the group to learn. Each one of these songs is designed to teach you a new technique or skill. So for example, there are some songs that I'll choose that are really good for teaching vibrato, or one for sustains, or one that's based around how to hit high notes. Then once you've practiced the song, you're actually going to send me in a recording of yourself singing, and I will send you back a fully customized scorecard telling you exactly how you can radically improve your singing. And there's even some singers that enroll in this. When you enroll at the higher tier level, you're actually going to get a personalized video critique, a video that I shoot specifically for you to check out to show you the best ways that you can improve. Then as you learn these songs step by step, you'll be gaining invaluable vocal skills with confidence. So all of that you can enroll in for just 27. Just open enrollment on it for the middle of August special. So definitely check that out. It's really, really cool. Next question. Let me see. Oh, your screen went black? Weird. Okay, well, everything that I just talked about, you'll be able to check it out. So sorry about that. You guys can check this out on your own. So again, like I said at the very beginning today, YouTube really needs to up its game in terms of the live streaming capability. It's so sucky. Like this technology is so bad. I just clicked share my screen and I selected a different tab that I wanted to share, and it just totally freaked out on me. Okay, Jordy says, if someone didn't sing for months and the voice is kind of rusty, what's the best way to get back into it in a safe way? Slow and steady, Jordy. Slow and steady and consistent. So every day, let's say for the next 5 days, I want you to do escalating vocal warm-ups. So doing some warm-ups, that are working from the bottom to the top part of your voice and back down, all of that good stuff. And then what you want to do is you want to start increasing the amount of time that you do it. So rather than just doing, like a tiny little thing, where you're just doing, let's say a full 30 minutes of vocal warm-ups. Instead, you want to just do like 5 minutes. And then the next day, you're going to do a little more. And then you're going to do a little more. I just dropped the link to my ultimate vocal warm-up. There's one for guys and one for girls. I'll go ahead and drop that link there so you can check it out. I totally recommend that. So slow and steady. Now, let's see. Mario said, what exercise should I do when my voice is rusty in the morning and I have an audition coming for American Idol? So here's my philosophy where it comes to warming up your voice. So obviously you'll see a lot of vocal trills, like a or a or an There's a lot of these different exercises that you can do, which are absolutely going to help you warm up your voice. But what you're asking is like, what should you do when your voice is rusty? And the way that I think about vocal warm-ups is you want to go from easier to harder. You want to go with exercises that start out with more support towards less support. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is there are lots of exercises that you can do where your voice gets a lot of support. The vocal, the lip trill, like I just demonstrated, is really good for that because your voice is actually really protected and it has all of the feedback that it really, really likes to help it work consistently. Then you may consider starting opening the mouth more towards maybe like a gee gee gee. Gee 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 gee. Notice that my mouth is still pretty closed. Things are still pretty protected. And I'm doing it with that dopey sound, which is helping my vocal cords close. Then you can start going towards more open mouth exercises like a na. Na 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 na, where you have less and less and less stuff to hold on to, right? And then finally, maybe towards a mum or a ma. Mum, 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 mum. Notice that I've gone from funnier sounding exercises like the gee 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 towards much more song sounding exercises. Hope that helps. Great question. Malay says, does there exist bad and good voice days? Yes, absolutely. Because like I was even talking about this with someone recently, like even and if this makes people feel uncomfortable, I totally understand. You can click off the live stream, but like women have, depending on where they are in their cycle, maybe have a slightly different voice because, women that are in that part of their cycle, that are menstruating, they're retaining more fluid in their voice because their body is kind of holding on to more fluid. And so everyone's voices change day to day all the time. Some people more than others. I've also worked with like a lot of young men in puberty where it's like one day they're a tenor and the next day they're a bass and then they're a baritone the third day. Voices change constantly. And it's not just for, kids in puberty and women that are in their cycle. It's like we're changing all the time. You can hear that my voice is like a little bit nasal and a little congested because I've been sick for the last couple of weeks. So your voice changes all the time. I think I'm having a better voice day today than I did yesterday. So it's nice. Christian said, let's see. I tend to belt a lot and then my voice gets hoarse and I start coughing when it comes to the higher notes. How can I make sure that doesn't happen besides belting, of course? So Christian, what you need to find is you need to find a better mixed voice belt. So rather than na 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 na, where I'm really pushing towards that higher note, instead na 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 na. Once I'm able to find a better mix on that note, rather than na towards na, then I can start to belt more into that same note. Na 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 na, because my voice actually knows where to go now. So rather than just pushing up with the bottom part of my voice, the chest voice, instead, once you find it in your mixed voice, then you can find a belty mix. Does that make sense to everyone? In case anyone's confused, I just want to make absolutely sure. Go ahead and put yes if it makes sense. Just want to make absolutely sure. Okay, great question. So Chonkomatic says, you've been helpful in my progression, though I still have problems listening and recording my voice. Well, you know what, Chonko? 30-Day Song Master is a fantastic thing for you to check out because you're going to send in a recording of yourself singing every month and there is no judgment. We're just going to work with your voice exactly where it is. And it's not public. You don't share it with a ton of different people. You're just sharing it with me. And you can do that for all one low price. Let's see. Erwin says, thanks for the answer. I have one more question. How often should I do steam baths? You don't even have to do steam baths. There's a great little product. I have it in the next room right now. Sorry, it's not in front of me, but it's a voice mister And basically, like, you put a little water in it, and there's like a little mask at the top of it. Put a little water in it, and you click it on, and it starts to create steam with that, and then you just steam your voice with that. Knit Chewy says, how much pressure should I feel in my throat when I'm singing? I've heard some people say that you should be completely relaxed when singing, but I see famous singers push all the time. Great question, Knit Chewy. I have a sip of water. So here's the thing that you have to remember. There's a difference between drama and reality. And a lot of the times when we're seeing singers strain live in their performances and stuff like that, they're not actually straining because they've actually had the good technique to back it all up. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't singers who do strain. There definitely are. However, we want to find the difference between, if they're on pitch and the vowel is right and the volume is right, they're not pushing, then they're probably not straining their voice. Maybe it's just drama. Great question. Malay says, how do I improve my voice as much as possible without voice lessons? 30-Day Songmaster would be a great program for you. But usually you need some amount of vocal training in order to get the most out of it. Because here's the problem. It would be really easy to be like, oh, go and check out my YouTube videos. I have this great YouTube vocal warm-up that you can work on every day because I know you said without lessons. But here's the problem. Most singers don't actually know whether they're doing the exercises right or not. And that makes a big difference. And I'm talking about like even small differences in the way that you do a specific vocal exercise. Let me show you an example. So if I go, you guys may not have realized it, but I was not going into my head voice or matching the pitches at the top of that scale at all. Not a single one. I purposely sang them all flat. But because I was doing it with the piano, you may not have been able to tell. Well, actually, I'm mic'd just on my voice. So you may have been able to tell this time. But if it was just like, if I was micing the entire room, you might not have been able to hear that. And that's what happens with a lot of singers is they start to sing those vocal exercises and they don't even realize that they're avoiding going up into the top part of their voice. That's just one example of one of the things that can go wrong. Leland said, hi, my name is Jake. I'm 23 years old. I live in the UK and have autism. I'd like to enroll in your Master Your Voice course when the time is right for me, as karaoke is a hobby of mine. That's awesome. I'd love to have you as a part of Master Your Voice, Jake. And just in case you guys are curious, so Master Your Voice is the only singing course that offers completely personalized feedback and a proven set of exercises. I'm going to just drop a link right here. You can check it out on your own. It's absolutely incredible. It is 1000% the best vocal course out there, period, end of sentence. And you say, how can you say that, Matt? That can't be true. Well, because strictly speaking, I don't care if you enroll in Ken Tamplin's course, Chris Lipe's course, any other vocal coach, Cheryl Porter's course, anyone else that you can name, you're not going to get any sort of personalized feedback from those singing coaches. However, with Master Your Voice, as soon as you enroll, you get a 7 to 12 minute completely personalized video vocal assessment of your singing and a customized roadmap to tell you exactly how to work through the course for maximum results. Not only that, but I'm answering questions from my Master Your Voice students all the time. They send in recordings of themselves singing, and I'm constantly responding to them and being like, oh, hey, Yasmin, I noticed that you were going a little flat on that top note. And by the way, I shoot these videos usually for people because it's kind of hard just in a text exchange to see what it is that they need to do. It's like, oh, Yasmin, yeah, I noticed that you were, changing the vowel on this word. If you maybe just change that vowel instead of going towards a you're going to see a big difference there. Let's see. Okay, great question. So Mega Josiah, that's a great name. Is it okay if lowering my larynx when hitting the high notes hurts my larynx? No, there shouldn't be any feeling of pain when you're singing. Now, there is a difference. Excuse me. There is a difference between let's say, a slight discomfort, a slight ache in the voice, and pain. And what I mean by that is like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever lifted any weights or anything, but like after you lift weights, your muscles are really sore, you know? Does that mean that you did something wrong? Not necessarily. Now that is different from I'm pulling up a weight and all of a sudden I feel, the muscle tear or I feel a strain in my arm and I can't lift for the rest of the day. That's different. That's a difference between I'm actually building the muscle and I'm hurting the muscle. So if you're feeling pain, anytime I hear the word pain, I think we're in the wrong place. Great question. Let's see. Is it possible to hit high notes when you're sick? I'm sick right now, so yeah, I think so. It's harder, and maybe you shouldn't try it, but I've been doing this a while, so it's probably okay. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. Hi, how can I sing if my chest voice? So Sashwat says, "Hi, how can I sing if my chest voice goes up to G4 and falsetto up to E5? And can I do high notes to C5?" That question doesn't make any sense to me, Sashwat. Maybe you just need to clarify exactly what it is you're asking. You're saying, "Hi, how can I sing if my chest voice goes up to G4 and falsetto up into E5 and can do notes up to C5?" So what are you asking exactly? How can you sing? It sounds like you're already singing. So let's see. Precious says, and by the way, we just opened enrollment for 30-day Songmaster right now for this month. So if you guys enroll right now, you're going to learn to sing actual songs, not just vocal exercises. The coolest part is with 30-day Songmaster, every single month, I'm going to assign you a new song to learn. And that song is designed to teach you a specific vocal skill. Like maybe it's vibrato, or maybe it's sustains, or maybe it's hitting higher notes. And then everyone works on that song individually. And then they send in a recording of themselves singing that song to me to get personalized feedback on it. And typically, you're going to get a personalized vocal assessment of exactly what it is that you need to work on. Precious says, "May I know what some techniques then can help develop a airier or breathier falsetto?" Well, typically, all you have to do is add more air to it. So, for example, if you're going, ah, you're going up to falsetto. Ooh, all you have to do is add even more air. Ooh, ooh. So I'm imagining that I'm adding a little H on that. Ooh. Nice. Malay says, "It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Malay." Maddie says, "When I sing high notes, I don't get that much volume to my voice as much as I do in chest voice. Recently, I trained that very much, and I don't know where to locate the note in my throat." So, Maddie, if you're not getting as much volume on the top part of your voice, that probably means that you're in falsetto. Probably means that you're not singing with any power up there. So, the key for you is to develop your mixed voice, to be able to blend the chest voice and the head voice together and get that. Sabe or CB says, "I've been struggling to find the right posture for my body for a long time and to maintain it. Watch various videos on vocal posture, but I can't seem to get it right." It's really simple, Sabi. So what we want to do is we want to have the tall posture. So basically, you're going to keep the chest comfortably lifted, not too high and not slouching. Chest is comfortably lifted. The shoulders are going to be in line with the hips. The hips are going to be in line with your feet. So if you look at yourself in the mirror, your shoulders, hips, and feet should basically all be in a line together. Let me see if I can. There we go. That's better. This is a mirror image, so I have to I'm looking left, but I have to lower my right hand, which is kind of confusing. So it's super simple, Sabi. You'll check it out. It's really, really easy. Lone Luna says, "Hi, Matt. Is it normal that when I wake up every morning, my throat is very phlegmy and stuffy? What could be the possible causes?" Yes, it's very, very typical, Lone, because your body has been you've been sleeping all night. And so, it sounds kind of gross, but all this fluid has been collecting in your throat, in your nose, all this stuff. And so when you first wake up and you start moving around, your body's going to start moving that fluid around too. And so coughing stuff up is a part of that. which I am very, very, very much a part of for sure. Let's see. Jake again says, "Thank you for response to my comment. When I get enough money, I'll be purchasing the Rockstar package." Yeah. So the Rockstar package is actually the best deal in Master Your Voice. And again, I would share my screen, but I don't count on YouTube to not totally destroy itself. But when you go to enroll in Master Your Voice, there's 3 different options of courses that you can do. There's the starter course, there's the complete course, and then there's the Rockstar package. And we're only offering the Rockstar package for a very, very short time. And that's because it actually features 4 1-hour lessons with me, which you can use at any time. I'll go ahead and drop the link right there so you guys can check it out. There's a bunch of other bonuses that we've included with the Rockstar package too. But basically, for 1 month of 4 1-hour lessons, I charge $1,697. And that's just because my time is very valuable these days. So, I'm shooting videos, I'm writing content, I'm doing all this stuff. So in order to teach private lessons, I have to make it worth it for myself, which is why I try to encourage you guys to check out my courses as much as possible, especially ones like Master Your Voice and 30-Day Song Master, which still involve personal feedback from me, but not necessarily lessons. However, what Jake's talking about is Master Your Voice with the Rockstar package. Since I charge $16.97 for 4 1-hour lessons, the Rockstar package is only $14.97 on the Master Your Voice sales page. And that's something that you're already saving $200, and basically you get the entire course for free. So check it out. Nikon Miko says, "Do you have any tips for becoming less shameful while singing at home? I already practiced enough to sound good, but I often feel shame when singing louder and can only sing with the sound of my dryer." Well, Nikon Miko, I'm just going to call you Miko. Miko, part of being a singer means that you have to accept that you're going to make noise sometimes. And sometimes that noise isn't going to be super pleasant. I'll give you an example. I really, really learned this when I started playing drums, because drums are loud as F. Loud AF. That's a better way to say it. Drums are super, super loud. And there's very, very few places that you can have a drum set where other people aren't going to hear you. So when you're first starting off playing drums, you're going to suck. Everyone sucks at the instrument the very, very first time that they start playing it. So how do you get past that shame? You just have to accept that that's a part of the gig. You have to make the noise. You have to feel the fear. You have to feel the embarrassment. When I first started playing drums, nobody has an excuse to not make noise. I'll tell you this. When I first started playing drums, I lived in an apartment with 5 other people. And I had to wait until every one of them was out of the house or went to work or something like that. And not everyone always was leaving the house at the same time, right? So like people came and went. And so I would like stalk everybody in my house to figure out when everyone was going to leave so that I could have some time to practice. So that's a whole part of it. AKA Giampi says, "Why would someone hold the top of their throat, bottom jaw, when practicing whistle register?" One of the things that you see with whistle register is whistle register tends to kick in the very, very highest parts of the singing voice. And sometimes what's really helpful is for people to remember to drop their jaw. So I would guess that they're not like actually holding it. They're probably just reminding themselves to really, really drop the jaw when they get up to the top part of their voice. Malaise says, "Sometimes it's almost like I can't find my chest voice. It's like I'm straining my voice when I just sing normally, even though I warm up. But sometimes it's like it's too smooth, but too hard and tense." I feel you, buddy. That's definitely a part of it, for sure. And by the way, guys, you can check out my 30-Day Song Master program. Every month, I assign a new song for everyone to learn. And then once you've had some time to practice it, you actually send in a recording of yourself singing that song and get personalized feedback from me on what you need to do to improve it. And every month we're working on something cumulative. Like, so the first month, you're going to work on your pitch training. The next month, you're going to work on discovering the bottom part of your voice, the chest voice. The next month, the head voice. Next month, the mixed voice. And it all goes in a cumulative way. Let's see. So Sashwat rephrased his question. So what I asked was, can I hit higher notes in my chest voice? Because now it only goes up to G4. You probably can, Sashwat, but I wouldn't recommend it. G4, assuming you're a guy, G4 is plenty high to pull your chest voice up to. Any higher than that, and I wouldn't recommend it. Because, I mean, I can go from, so that's a B flat. Technically, I can push up my chest voice that high, but it's not a good idea, except in very, very special circumstances when you choose to, how do I put this? When you want to go for a specific kind of belting effect, right? But besides that, anything above G4, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you practice your mixed voice. So rather than, at a certain point, my voice is just going to break. So instead, discovering some of the mixed voice, we'll see how well I can do this today. See, I had a break too. So that's up to an E5 right there. And that's because I'm only able to get up to that E5 because I allowed some of my mixed voice to come in. Thanks for tolerating that. I'm sick right now, so. How do I know if I'm on key or on pitch? Two ways, Maya. The first way is that you download, the harder way is that you download a vocal pitch monitor and you watch yourself, and you have to know what all the scales that you're trying to sing or the melody that you're trying to sing is before you sing it, so that when you sing, you can watch yourself on the vocal pitch monitor. Why is that hard? Because number one, you have to know exactly what the melody is, and you have to be able to watch yourself. So singing is already hard enough without having to watch yourself and know intellectually every single note that's in the song that you're supposed to be singing, right? Now, the second way is much easier, but it's harder for some people because they don't have the same accessibility. So the second way is to actually have someone listen to you sing, like a 5-star vocal coach, like myself, like you can find in 30-Day Song Master. And we definitely train pitch quite a bit in 30-Day Song Master. Let's see. Arthur asked the same question. Hey, Matt, how can I learn to match pitch? I have a piano at home, by the way. So I would recommend starting off with some really, really simple scales, like some 3-tone. Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 ma. And then start working on making the scales more complex. Maybe a 5-tone now. Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 ma. And then you can work towards more difficult scales, like an octave repeat. Or an octave and a half. Or a broken arpeggio. But in my opinion, usually you want to start off with really, really simple scales, like a 3-tone scale, like a 5-tone scale. Let's see. Adriana says, good morning, sir. I've been working on nasopharyngeal compression for rock singing. I was wondering if you have any tips. Compressing my throat for distortion wasn't the way. So Adriana, I'm not sure exactly which way to pronounce it. That's a lot of kind of specific language that doesn't really make sense to me. So nasopharyngeal compression, you don't compress anything in your nasopharynx when you're singing distortion. Instead, compression usually comes from the vocal folds. So maybe you're talking about kind of like a Robert Plant or an Axl Rose kind of sound. Hey, mama, by the way you move, gonna make you scream. You know that. That kind of, distortion. Maybe that's what you're talking about. But basically what you're talking about is the pharyngeal voice, which starts off by falsetto. So the vocal folds are pretty thin and they're pretty open, but getting them to close. So rather than having this, So I'm still in falsetto, but I've gotten the vocal cords to close a little bit more. So rather than whoo, ah, ah, so I can create some of those kind of like raspy sounds, some of those distortion sounds by starting with my falsetto first. Good question. Kat says, is this just a promo video or WTF? Yes, it's just a promo video. Obviously, I haven't helped anybody so far today. Malay says, how do I know what my voice type is? Here's what I would recommend, Malay. I would recommend by starting to find your vocal range, lowest to highest, and then I would start do a recording of yourself and listen to how heavy or how light your voice is and see if you can compare it to some other famous singers for whom we already know their vocal type. For example, we know that Johnny Cash is a bass. We know that John Legend is a baritone or Hozier is a baritone. We know that, let's see, Bruno Mars, Jason Mraz, Sam Smith are all tenors, right? So compare your voice and the sound of it to those other singers. Let's see. Marco says, I'd say there's no such thing as mixed voice. It's rather a formant shift. People keep searching for that elusive secret part of their voice, and it only adds confusion for beginners. So Marco has some really, really good points here. Is there such a thing as the mixed voice? Well, it's certainly not something that we've been able to see in any sort of study whatsoever. What I mean by that is that there's no place in your voice where the vocal cords are both thin and also thick at the same time. Technically speaking, most people are either in some sort of chest voice or some sort of head voice. They're chest voice dominant or they're head voice dominant, but you can't be both at the same time, right? A light switch can't be both on and off at the same time. However, what we do have is, like, using the light switch analogy, which I've never used before, is like you may have a dimmer switch where the light is on technically, but you can increase or lower the amount of light in the room, right? Mixed voice is kind of like that. It's like it doesn't really matter whether your vocal cords are super thick or super thin. Instead, the amount of resonance that you're getting with them comes into play. So that's the amount that you're modulating. Now, is it just a formant shift? No, I don't think it's just a formant shift. I think that it's a combination between physiology and the formant. So both of them come into play. So by the way, formants and all that stuff is really confusing for a lot of beginners. It's kind of funny that you said that mixed voice only adds confusion for beginners, because honestly, I think studying mixed voice and being able to discover it on your own is much simpler for beginners than studying formants. Honestly, if you're just studying formants, you're missing the point. Even though they're important, in my opinion, you don't really have to study formants unless you're a teacher. And even then, I've known some fantastic teachers that don't know crap about formants whatsoever. Let's see. Nichui says, thank you for answering my question. Here's another one. I've heard that when singing high notes, we should lower our larynx and vice versa. How true is that? Well, it just depends. It depends on two things, I would say. What is the type of sound? What is the effect that you're trying to get in your singing voice? Like, are you trying to sound really, really rich and exciting and kind of strainy? In that case, singing high notes with a high larynx actually adds that. Like we were just talking about with the Led Zeppelin sound. Yeah! My larynx is pretty high when I'm doing that. Compare that to where my larynx is low. Sounds less exciting, sounds more hollow. The other thing that it depends on is where you are in your development as a singer. There's definitely a lot of singers that I've worked with that basically they can't sing higher until they learn to relax their larynx a bit. This is getting so tight and so straining. Everything is getting so hard to sing up there that until they learn to relax those muscles in their voice, then they're not going to get there. Great question. And by the way, guys, I just put We just opened enrollment for 30-day Songmaster. So you guys can check that link out right there. Every month, we learn to sing a new song. You send in a recording of yourself singing it for my feedback. Most people get a totally personalized video vocal assessment, just depending on what level you want to go. So for the lower level, you get a template video critique being like, hey, I heard that you were singing off pitch. It's still personalized feedback from me. It's just more of a template response in that one. But if you go for the higher level, you're actually going to get a completely personalized video assessment. Malaya says, I live in Denmark and really want to get better at singing and one day get voice lessons, but it's hard to find a 5-star voice teacher, as you say, without having to drive miles and miles. Guess what? Most teachers teach online now. So do I. So check it out. Let's see. Tiger Stripe says, so is this advice specifically for men since women don't have falsetto? Women do have falsetto. Most women, however, typically have more resonance in the top part of their voice. And so it doesn't necessarily sound as breathy and hooty as most men who sing in falsetto. For an example, there's so many women that sing in falsetto. Listen to Phoebe Bridgers. She sings in falsetto in the top part of her voice all the time. Great question. How long should one practice per day? I would say 20 to 30 minutes, 5 times a week. And those days per week don't have to be consecutive. So you can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can do Monday through Friday, take Saturday and Sunday off. Do it however you need to. Let's see. Oh, I think you're helping people. Thank you, Tiger Stripes. Let's see. When I jump an octave in a song, I have to jump from chest voice to head voice. Yes, not necessarily. Depends on where you are. Depends on the range of the notes that you're singing. If you have to go from a B flat 2 up to a B flat 3, those are still both within the range of chest voice. However, I would say most of the time you're probably right. Let's see. I'm going to answer 2 more questions, so get them in. I'm going to scan the chat, make sure that they're really good questions. Let's see. What is belting? Well, Malay, belting can be 2 different things. Number 1, it could be basically pulling up the chest voice higher, or it could be you're singing in mixed voice, but with an intensity that sounds like it's chest voice. I would highly recommend the second one. Mario says, should I get vocal lessons since I have a virtual audition coming up for a singing competition? Yeah, I think so. But I would also say, Mario, that don't expect a miracle to happen if you just take one voice lesson. And I would also say that you don't want to let a performance or something like that be the only reason that you take a voice lesson, because I've seen this happen so many times. People have a big performance coming up or a big audition or something like that, and they come and they take a 30-minute lesson, and it's like, we have to spend 5 minutes just like talking about you and your history with singing and your goals. The next 5 minutes, I'm going to be assessing your voice. Then 10 minutes, I'm going to give you some vocal exercises. We're already 20 minutes into a 30-minute lesson. That only gives us 10 minutes to work on your song, right? So that first lesson is very important for a lot of singers, and you're going to get a lot out of it. But if you add so much pressure to one 30-minute lesson, or even a first 1 hour lesson, that's a bad place to be, both mentally and physically. You're adding a lot of stress to the situation, which prevents your ability to learn a lot. Let's see. Fedora also asks a good question. Isn't online coaching kind of worse since the mic carries a lot of your voice projection? Not necessarily, Fedora. So here's the thing, is as a vocal coach, I can hear through pretty much anything. Let's say that you're in an echoey room, or let's say that you're in a room that's too dry, or let's say that you're just using your computer microphone or whatever. I'll still be able to hear in context if you're singing too lightly, too breathy, or straining your face off, right? There's a lot of clues that play into that. So I do think that online vocal lessons are very, very helpful. Now, here's the issue with online vocal lessons. Technologists still have not solved the lag. And so there's oftentimes a quarter second or a half a second pause, or not pause, but a quarter second lag between what I sing and what you hear. And what that means is that I will never be able to accompany you totally live, meaning that I play this and you're singing along perfectly in time. If you're in front of me right here, standing to my right, I can play this and you can sing along with it as I'm playing it. However, with an online lesson, here's what we have to change. I just demonstrate it once, and then you have to sing it back, right? Now, obviously, as a good vocal coach, I'm able to tell, like, hey, maybe that scale is too advanced for you where we are right now. And so instead, what you'll have to do is I'll have to give you a simpler scale, demonstrate it, and have you be able to sing something back, right? So that's the biggest difference between online and in-person voice lessons. I still think they're incredibly effective. However, they're more effective if you're able to sing on pitch already. Great, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Just a quick reminder, we did open enrollment for 30-day Songmaster. Every month, you were going to learn to sing a new song to train a specific vocal skill. Then once you've had some time to practice it, you send in a recording of yourself singing it to get my personalized feedback. It has been a pleasure to hang out with you guys today. Thanks so much for watching. And please bring all of your questions for next week. I plan on going live again next Saturday with my girlfriend Francesca. She's an amazing singer, and I'd love to be able to demonstrate some of the really cool things that she's able to do with her voice and actually have a live singer in front of you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.